The relationship piece here is really important. You have to earn the trust for you to get in the room. And then you have to bring them a metric or, a 6-pager that tells them like what you're trying to do and how that aligns with their goals. And that might come as a shock to them, and it might take months. You might get rejected many times. So I'm curious, do you have any examples of a time where that has worked? You don't have to name drop or anything like that, but where you going above and beyond has showed to be worthwhile.
I'd say proving that you put the brand's needs before your own needs repeatedly, driving success, and then eventually needing to test something. You've earned the trust consistently. You're driving results. You're doing all the right stuff. You're communicating frequently with them, and then at some point, hey, here's this opportunity. It may be against your self-interest, seemingly from a cost perspective, from a extra hours required perspective, some sort of negative externality on their behalf. But you can explain to them in a test and learn framework, hey, this is what I want to test. I acknowledge that it's going to cost you more, and I'm going to make more money from this. I think it could be useful for me to test this thing. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah. So having earned trust repeatedly, having that personal relationship, them knowing, this isn't a facade. It's true. Like, you have to operate in a way that they know you have their best interest in heart always. Yeah. And so doing that, giving them something cool, something fun to learn. It gets monotonous if you don't do that stuff anyway. And the industry has perhaps a limited number of very curious people, but they happen to be in director positions, sales positions at some of the big CPGs in particular, because they have a lot of churn and a lot of good, I would say, expertise in some leadership positions. And so those relationships are kind of clinging to those as this is someone that we can really drive business with. So finding them, testing with them, and just making it kind of fun,
Okay, so you bring up a really good point about churn, and I think it's timely because here you are kind of for some people, the perfect account manager. You're curious, you're engaged with the business, you're earning their trust, you're showing up consistently, you're doing all these things that are kind of above and beyond for them, and they're not used to that. What happens when you move off the account and someone has to backfill you? And of course, we all hire qualified people, and we have trust in our teammates, but they might be junior to you. And on one hand, it's a huge opportunity for them. They can step up and they can crush it and bring it in a new way. But you need to restart the cycle when you're that new person. So when, young Zach stepping onto a new account, how do you begin to earn that trust? And what are some of the first things you can do when you start taking over a new account?
I think as the old head on an account, it's important to have the account set up in a way that's understandable and that is best practices for full utilization of tech. So assuming that person did that before, the new person should be coming in, shadowing, learning, how did you set this stuff up, asking why. You should have the base knowledge of understanding retail media, understanding what's the brand's goal in a lot of these scenarios. Who are you working with? What do they care about? Learning from a personal perspective, the people that you're going to be working with. That comes first, I think. Yeah. Because you're already an expert, or you should be an expert in the capacity that you're executing. So understanding personal goals for the folks that you work with, the brand goals, existing pain points, and then it's a nice refreshing time to reset expectations. And so, hey, maybe we meet too frequently and I don't have enough detail to give you that it's actionable. Right. Just checking in, should we reduce the frequency of meetings? It's a great time when someone's new is owning a meeting invite, to just check in with them and just make sure you're meeting expectations and exceeding them, making sure you're hitting all the boxes for what they want to do. Right. Generally, it's been over communicating to brands. Yeah. Is there hey, we can reduce meeting frequency. You actually don't need to send these reports. I don't open them. I just wait for your commentary. A lot of that stuff happens. So
course.
Just making sure you're not overworking and giving them something they don't care about. So I'd say it's a great reset time. I like to always make sure things are set on like my own terms, but with the client specific goals in mind. So design a new relationship every time you start a new one.